What's up, my loves? I hope everything is golden like this template we're about to work on. This is another episode of 10-minute teas. No, for real though. I have 3 different requests for like the gold effect type templates, and they're all different templates. So we have this one with the confetti, there's a drip one, and then there's one that has a sketched effect with a gold overlay. So hopefully in the next couple days you'll be seeing those roll out. So let's get into it. We're going to change this up. You know how we do. We're going to change up the foreground image. There's an area in the background where we can put a mascot, or like in this instance there's a soccer field in the background, and this one has some text that you can edit. So let me show you where you would make your biggest change, which is with the photo, and it's the smart object. So we're going to double click on that smart object. You see I have some files here, but I'm going to show you. For instance, if I take out Cam and replace him, it's as simple as going to your folder where you have your artwork stored. I'm going to show mine on screen for a moment. And we will drag him onto the artboard. And let's go ahead and place him in the center as big as we can get him on this artboard. Hit enter, and then I'm going to turn off the visibility for the other players. When I get to this point, I'm going to make sure I say yes to save, and it's going to update that smart object. You also could have done Control S to save, or file save. So there we have it. And I want to show you what's going on here is I have the previous players that were there. We had some of the original image showing through. So if I disable that layer mask, we see Cam in 100% gold. So you can't even tell that's him, honestly. So if you were looking to do a generic figure, you can definitely do something like this and make it look gold, and it looks like a statue. So for this one, I think what we're going to do, we already saw what it looked like with the gold. I'm going to show you what it looks like chrome. Let's take off the confetti, which that's here on this layer. So now we're just making it look like a totally different design. So we've got Cam. I'm going to do like a magazine, how we put the image kind of covering the text a little bit. And then our 2020, I'm just going to hide that. So our Liberty, right click, I'm going to grab Liberty. I'm holding down Shift, right click, I'm going to grab County. Now that just grabbed both of them without me having to go over onto my layer panel. Let's go up here. And then my county, I'm just going to bring in just a little bit. So it stays within the parameters of the Liberty. And of course it's probably not going to say Liberty or county. Let's say that this is going to be, instead of Liberty, let's change the text. We're double clicking on it now. And what is this, Carolina? Carolina. And of course we need to make sure this fits. So we'll do Control T to transform this object. Let's bring it in a little bit. And I'm going to leave county up there just so you get the idea that there is text there. Now if I wanted to make this text look more substantial, I could kind of make it go to the outside, almost to the edge of the page. But I want to be careful that my drop shadow doesn't get too close to that edge, because it will clip off when you're printing, and you won't notice it until you press it on a beautiful white shirt. And then you'll have to debate with yourself whether you're going to let that go or redo it. And I'm going to bring him over just a little bit so that he's between that O and that T. So Carolina County Panthers. And let's take off the seniors. Well, I don't know. We could keep seniors. The idea here is that you all get the idea that you can use this for your local business. For Carolina, let's do, instead of the gold, I think right now, let's do a color overlay and make it silver. So right now I'm just going to pick a nice clean gray color, and I'm on my Carolina layer. Let me make sure that I have nothing above my color overlay. I have a pattern on here. Okay, so really I don't need a color overlay. Let me go ahead and delete that one. So you won't need a color overlay. All you need to do is just make sure you turn off this gradient. So that gradient is what gives it the gold look. So just turn that off. And it is now silver. And it's cool, ready to go. Let's see, for the county. Let's go to this gradient overlay. Now this one has a silver tone gradient overlay, so let's see where our gold is coming from. It is probably a stroke. Yep, that's what it is, a stroke. Let's go ahead and, for the stroke, we can do a color, or we can do a color over the stroke. What I would do is I would add another stroke, and instead of the gradient, I would do a color. And then we can do the gray color. And instead of it being normal blend mode, we'll put it onto either color or hue. You'll barely see it. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. So if the way the stroke is right now is not on normal, so let me change the color mode to normal. You see it's a flat color, which you're probably used to that, but if you play with these blend modes, you'll be surprised at what you can come up with. So right now I'm going to go on to color, and what it did was it took the gradients from the stroke underneath and it applied the gray tones to it. So I'm happy with that. If I like how that looks and I want to continue that onto the seniors, I'm going to copy that layer style and paste it onto seniors. All right, and for the Panthers, same thing here. I guarantee you we go in there, we'll see the stroke. There is a white stroke and then there is a gold stroke. So if I take the gold stroke and I duplicate it, in that particular gold stroke, I'm going to, instead of a gradient, tell it I want to do a color. Now I could do a chrome gradient, but it just doesn't make sense because all I have to do is make it gray. Usually about a 50% gray is what you want. And then play with my blend mode. Let's do color. And now I have a silver. And I don't have to pick all new gradients. That's it for that. Oh yeah, of course, we have to take our player now. So this is our smart object. I'm going to show you all closed up. It's just a pretty little package. When you expand it, there are things that I want you to edit. These are the only few things I want you to edit. What I don't want you to edit is what's in here, unless you have a copy of this file and you just really want to go ham in these folders and figure out how I did this. Did a lot of different effects and filters to add up to it looking like it's metallic. So I say do not edit, but you know, just do it at your own risk. Make sure you save a version of the file that that saves the fidelity. Let's see here. There's a few things I want to show you. So first things first, the color. So this is the color that's applied. I have a yellowish gold selected here, and this is basically a color balance here that you can change. So you can change the shadows, the midtones, and the highlights. And you might do this based on like the skin tones and stuff. Certain skin tones is going to turn the gold like this isn't even a skin tone, this is the pants. So I think the pants might have been really white in this area or really black in a certain area, and you don't like that it's not looking metallic or gold. So you can change those. Let's see, do I want to change anything here? Let's see what happens when I play with my highlights. And all you're doing is just making it more of a reddish gold, or you might want to bring it down. Some people like the greener golds or the Vegas golds, so you might end up manipulating that a little bit. Or you might want it really brassy, and there you go. So I'm going to undo all of that because I like the gold that I had, but I'm just letting you know that you have that option. But if you turn this off completely, you end up with your chrome color, and that's what we're going for right now. You also have an option to play with your levels. Now, typically, if you're doing your 10-minute teas, you're not doing all this stuff. I'm just showing you that this is what you have the option to do. You can brighten it up a little bit. I'm in my levels right now. I'm changing my midtones. That's my white in the image. Like I said, this may all be based on the image that you bring in, whether you need to play with these other elements. Give it a little bit more stark contrast. So I'm going to undo that and show you. I want to show you what it looks like as soon as you pull it in. I don't want to deceive you. I want you to know as soon as you pull it in, this is what it's going to do, and then you have options to play with it otherwise. So now that we have it in silver, the same thing I was telling you we did with the outline here, let's play with this color overlay. And right now I have it on the vivid light setting for the blend mode. But you can put it on whatever you see here just to get an idea. Multiply pretty much applies the pure color to that silver. But some of the other ones give you more of that metallic look. Like the burn ones do give you a little more of a shine look, but they also alter the color some. Overlay does pretty well with maintaining the integrity of that color. The hard light is the one that I really like, but it makes the color look more electrifying, and it's not the true color, but I like that one the best as far as making it look like it's metallic. This vivid light is my favorite, and there's another one that does very well. Might be, is it color? Yeah, color does well too. So color and vivid light. So color is going to give you the actual color applied on here, and then I like, let me show you my vivid light again. Vivid light is just like whew. So let's go with color because it's more true to the color, so I'm going to leave that one on there. And I'm just going to show you that these over here are layer masks. So you can take your brush, and if you wanted a certain part of him to be the chrome blue, then you would reveal what you don't want to be the chrome blue, or conceal with the black. So if I want to take away part of this blue, whatever layer you're on, whatever you're hiding, that's what you go in with your brush. And there might just be certain parts that you want to just really highlight as a color, but you have that option. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and delete that layer mask and add a clean one. Now the same thing goes for the actual image itself. So what I like to do, I don't typically do my entire player metallic unless I'm trying to make them look generic, because a lot of times you cannot tell who it is. So in this instance, I'm going to take that mask and I'm going to save it because I want to preserve that. So I'm just dragging it to a new layer right now, but I want to be able to preserve that layer in case I bring my soccer players back in. So let's do a new layer mask here, and let's see if we can, oh, now we understand who that is. So maybe we want to pull the color, and we don't have to do this full opacity brush. We can bring the opacity down and kind of paint a little bit of color in there. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to reduce the size of my brush. And I'm also, make sure I'm on complete softness there. I'm going to decrease the opacity and the flow a little bit so that I can just barely paint on what I want as I'm going. So I want to make sure I have some color in here, and I can't, if I want to remember where the color is, I can, this is my image here where it has the, I say that you can play with the blend mode and opacity, but this is basically a clean image for you to reference. So let's say I want to bring in some of that teal there. Let's do maybe where his socks are. Bring in a little color. And maybe let some of it come through. Like some of his skin is chrome and some of it kind of like Terminator style or something. I don't know. This is very subjective. You do what you feel. And then I might pull some of the color into the helmet there. Maybe even some of the jersey color there. Some of his number. And then I can even get so fancy as to not even use a regular brush. I can use, let's do, this is a little brush I made for the tutorial yesterday. It's a little grid. But I can use a brush that's not a standard. I don't know if you can see what's going on here. But it's stamping and allowing the image to come through where I'm putting this. So it's just not a standard round brush there. And that's just if I wanted to get fancy with it. It is not required. But I'm just letting you know what you can do. So there's some effects there. You start to see the texture is really key when it comes to this kind of chrome and gold look. So the more texture you have, the more detail you have in your image, the better. If you have a really bad quality photo, which I'm going to show you that in a second, I'm going to show you the bad quality one last, because I want you to understand this is not the type of template you use for low quality images. Let's change the background. Background, I have an option in here where you can put your mascot, and right now I had a color or a gradient overlay for the soccer field, but now I just want the panther. Let me see if this panther even works in this setting, because now that I've moved the words, it may not work for me. Here we go. And it looks like, yeah, I had a black and white filter on here, so I need to continue that right up and through here. As a matter of fact, let's just do a layer, new adjustment layer, black and white. And that takes care of that issue. And I can even shrink this down a little bit if I want to. I just wanted the dramatics to be that it is a mascot, but you're using it more in an abstract manner. I really want to see the eyes and the mouth. So yeah, we'll keep it large and abstracted there. Alright, so you can imagine that that could be your layout for your senior shirts or your team. I think, is there another variation I wanted to do? And probably what I would do, since I let some of the teal come through, I probably would allow some teal to come through. Let me just show out a little bit. Hold on. So we have a gradient overlay there. So for this one, let's do another gradient overlay, and I'm going to show you how you can pull a little color on top of that. So I'm not going to use the gold there, but I'll duplicate it. And I'm going to go with the color that goes from color to transparent. Because I do want to see my silver, I just want a little bit of this teal color in here. So what I did just now was I dragged this opacity, my 100% opacity, I'm dragging it closer because I want to see more of my color than I want to see of the silver. So let's click on that purple because that's the last color I had selected. And I'm going to use my eyedropper, see if I can pull a little bit of this teal color. If I don't feel like I'm getting the right color, I can always manually select. And I'm manually selecting just so that I get a more vibrant, probably closer to, I think I want a little bit closer to green than what it's giving me. I think I'm happy with that. I'll say okay. And again, I want to move my opacity and my swatch so that I get more of the color and less of the silver. And this is showing you the scale of what I was just working with. So I'm going to increase the scale. I can even change it to where it goes at a different angle, and I think that's what I'll do. I knew this was lying to me because this was not centered. So I can pull this back now. And let's do 90 degrees here. Oh, I did not mean to hit enter. It's including something else because normally I can immediately tell where my center point is in my gradient. But I think this is going to work. It kind of reminds me of ice a little bit. And that's why I think I'm liking it. And the blend mode right now is on color. You can change your blend mode if you wanted to see what it did for other reasons here. But I think color is exactly what we need there because it doesn't play with these colors underneath. And that pattern is what's really making this thing pop. Alright, so if I want to achieve that same look on the Panthers, let's say I want to do that to the outer stroke, which is probably this middle one. I'm just guessing. Yep, that's the one we did gray. So now I could take it and select my teal color, and I have that now applied as a color. So it kind of brings that color out a little bit without making it too overwhelming. And if I feel like I revealed a little too much and I want to make it chrome again, I could always go back onto my layer mask. Matter of fact, I can disable the layer mask to see what it looks like completely chrome. Enable it again, and then I can take my brush on this layer mask now, and you would go with the white because the white is going to reveal, and what you're revealing is more of the chrome look. And I'm just doing it with the grid just to show you something a little bit different. I could have chosen like a paint splash or any kind of pattern brush just to give you an idea. And what I don't like, I don't really like stuff on people's faces. Let's do my brush. Let's go back to the soft brush. And I'm going to go with the black because that's going to conceal my silver there. And I'm good with that. So that's a different design. So that will be variation number 2. And this was, we worked in some details that we don't have to do all that. So I'm going to make sure I save as. And I'm just doing this. I don't suggest that you do all these different versions. I'm just doing it in case there was something that I realized I needed to update in my template file. Okay, so, oh, one more thing I want to show you. Let's do, usually I'll show you 2 variations just to let you know it's not complete magic. There is some tweaking that needs to be done. I'm going to show you a bad resolution file and just let you understand what limitations this template is going to have for working with that. Now, even if you had a bad resolution file, you could go in there and just smooth out all of those little dimples and stuff. But I want you to understand that that's what it's going to look like. It has a hard time distinguishing the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows. So, of course, you're ending up with some, a little bit of trash there. So, that's just my warning. If you have low resolution templates, don't try to do it with this one. Now, here is a comparison I want to do for you where we're going to do this one in gold because, of course, they have gold on. But I want you to look at the variations in the skin tones and see that sometimes you have to do some adjusting of the images to get the favorable look that you want. For, like, there's a lot of shadow right here on his eyes. You're going to have to either brighten that up or let his face come through in order to pull that out. Now, with the lighter skin tones, the highlights are more prevalent. So when you play with these levels, it's going to affect one way different than it affects another. But, I mean, if you're keeping it all metallic, which, again, I'm just dragging this. No, I don't want to replace that layer mask. What I'm really doing is just dragging the layer mask onto something just so that I can keep it later. Yeah, you can replace that layer mask. We're not using that color right now because I want to delete that layer mask and go ahead and create me a fresh one so I can show you all what's going on. Alright, so this one we're going to save as, we'll save this one as the 49ers. So then that way I have whatever we do for that one, I remember what we did. Alright, so in this case we're going to bring back the gold, of course. So let's go back down to our image layer and go to the color. And this says color. If you need to see what it says, you can drag this out a little bit. Alright, so we'll go to our color balance, and it definitely applies the gold, but it applies it differently. And here we might just want to, you know what, I'm going to show you a version where you just keep the full gold. How about that? Because I do a lot of playing with it to reveal colors, but you don't have to reveal the colors. You could still use it as a pure effect that just makes things look like a trophy on the shelf. So we'll call this one a trophy, even though they made it to the Super Bowl, but they didn't win the Super Bowl. So I was gonna say we could commemorate that, but yeah, sorry to my guy G, that's this team. Alright, so let's say, so in this case, let's say of course that's not the appropriate mascot. You could just do a color. You could take the color out completely. These are all options that you have with these templates. It's not something that you have to do. So for some reason, I like the gold against black better than I like the gold against white. So I choose to put something in the background, whether it's like a grunge layer, something that just makes it kind of pop out. And that just does it for me. But that's my personal preference. I'm going to turn off the teal gradient overlay, turn back on my gold. Same thing for the Panthers. I'm going to turn off the color overlay. Oh, I lied. Turn off the stroke. And let that gold show back through. Perfect. And then, of course, you can double click on this text. I don't know what I would put here. If you were working on a Super Bowl design. maybe you would put that. But and then the Super Bowl trophy itself, I think, is silver. So maybe we put Super Bowl. And this is really late, guys, because this is definitely after the Super Bowl. But maybe we'll claim it. We'll put 2021 or something. And for this one, let's take Carolina. I'm going to hold down my shift so I can grab county too. And we'll bring that down. 2020. We'll leave 2020 because they made it to the Super Bowl. I don't want to discount what efforts and successes the team has had this far. So, what is this? So, Super Bowl. I don't know where the Super Bowl was, but I'll probably figure out those details and just change that. Make a little template based on that. But I'm just showing you 3 different looks you can get out of the same template. So that's that. In a nutshell, this particular template is a little more complex, but I just wanted you to understand some things about it. So I will be posting this one. Excuse me. I'm trying to think. I forgot to tell you a coupon code before the end of the video again. All right, so this one, let's do CAM5, CAM 5. So if you use the CAM5 code, it will take $5 off of this template for 24 hours only. Y'all know the drill. And I'll go ahead and start putting this one up. And like I said, there's going to be a gold series. So there's going to be 2 more gold ones in this series. And of course, once I launch them, I will give you at least a $5 off coupon code for that template. So that if you're trying to collect them, you know, like Pokemon, you'll have your best chance if you turn on your notifications for YouTube. And if you join the Innate Creatives group, I usually give you all a heads up when I'm going to do it live. I actually release the templates live so I can watch them with you. So if you have questions, I can be there in the comments to kind of walk you through those questions. So that's it, guys. See you in a bit. Love you. Bye.